Hello class, I'd like to give you your weekly update video for the third week of the semester. That's August 31st through September 6th. So you'll see a new weekly module posted here. I'm recording this video on Sunday, August 30th. So you might be finishing up your first website project. This was the small project that I posted for that second week of class just to make sure everybody could get a website working, like having a home page and one link and some images, things like that. So really just getting the foundation there and the basics before you move on to something a little more complicated. So I have a lot of new materials posted for you again this week that kind of continues to build on what you learned last week. So let me take you through all the updates. So if you go to the weekly modules, you'll see the new week has been activated. And I have new tutorials for you. I didn't post any new lectures this week, but I do have new tutorial videos. And I have a new project for you. This is going to be a 5-page website. It's going to be a little larger project. Obviously, if you're doing a full website this time, 5 pages, 2 weeks to work on it. That's important, so you don't have to get it all done this week. Basic CSS, but no layout yet, because that gets a little more complicated when you're talking about really trying to design a layout for a page. I still want you to stick with the basics, but you can do a little more with this project. So that's kind of what we're going to be working on with the tutorial videos. So I'll show you that in a second as well. And then I have one more discussion board assignment for you. I usually put a lot more discussion boards at the beginning of the semester just to give you some extra things to work on and see what other students are doing as well. And also I'll do some discussion boards where I'll invite you to post your projects so that you can see what others are doing as well. A little later on after we get maybe the next project done. So I've got a discussion board. I'll show you that. It's due Sunday, September 6th. So let's go into the content. So again, lecture links I just reposted from last week in case you haven't had a chance to look at all of these copied from last week. Go to the tutorial links next and you'll see a tutorial on finishing your site. That would be creating 5 pages. So if you remember from last week, the tutorial where I showed you how to start designing the most basic website you can do, and I put together a little menu on there and it had multiple links. So this tutorial shows you how to finish out that full website. So that's going to be like your project that I posted. Basic CSS, because what you want to start doing, and I know a couple of you have done this from what I've seen with the project so far, but you want to use some CSS to change things like fonts and backgrounds, but you don't have to get into the actual design, the layout of the page yet, because that's just a little bit too complicated right now for a beginning class, but we're going to get to that probably starting next week and the week after. But for this project, you don't have to do the layout, but I do want you to put in some basic CSS. I'll show you the project here in a second as well. And here's a tutorial on choosing colors. So again, I mention this every week, but these tutorials, they kind of all build on the past tutorials. So if you're struggling with anything so far, you want to go back and review those or ask me any questions about it. You're going to have 2 weeks to do this project, so that's plenty of time to work through all these tutorials and identify things you're having trouble with. But if you move on to some basic CSS and you're not comfortable with the skeleton of your HTML and getting it to save and display correctly, then it's going to be tough. So everything does build on what you learned the previous week. That's just how HTML works. Okay, and then this is going to look probably overwhelming here for you, but I find that this is kind of the best way to do this, is to give you a little more freedom to work through this. So if you look at this, what I'm highlighting right here, work through the following pages over the next 3 weeks at your own pace, and also look for the ones that have the star by them. These are the really important topics as we get into these different elements here. So what you want to do is go to W3 Schools, click on Learn HTML, and then these kind of go in order. So click on Learn HTML, and then you can see down here on the left-hand side, these are the ones I'm talking about. You certainly don't have to do all of them. I put the ones that I think are the most important, and I also mentioned that you're going to want to skip some of these, like the iframes and the JavaScript for now. Some of them are really simple. You've already gotten through the basic, getting into like the headings, the paragraphs, getting into styles. That's going to help you with your project, colors, CSS. This goes all the way down through some basic HTML layout. You would probably not need to work on that this week. That would be like in the third week. If this is the first week of starting this, another 2 weeks you can get through all of these. So again, just work through these at your own pace. You want to start with these tutorial movies right here. And again, if anyone is or wants to work ahead, drop me an email. And what I would probably do is recommend some courses on lynda.com that I think you could benefit from. But in general, I think from reading through the discussion board posts, from your introductions, which were really good, thank you for posting those, by the way. I think many of you were beginners, or maybe you had a little bit in high school and you're getting back into it or something. So, usually people are not working way ahead, but that is an option with lynda.com. But this should give you plenty to work on here. So start with my tutorials and then continue with the W3 schools. All right, once you get through some of those, go to the projects here and you'll see a project 5-page site. And this isn't going to be worth a little bit more. It's going to be worth 10% of your grade. The due date's going to be Sunday, September 13th by the end of the day. So let me take you through the requirements here. So for this topic, I want you to pick a TV show or a recent movie. I know that probably not everybody's been to the movies lately. It's been a long time since I've been, but you can pick any movie, anything you've watched recently, or something you've watched in the past, one of your favorite movies, or a TV show. So you're designing like a fan website for it. And the reason that I do this in terms of trying to assign different topics for each website as we go through the semester, last week you did something on your hobbies, this week you can do the TV show or the movie. The reason for that is that it helps you to build sites from the beginning as opposed to just, continuing to build on the same website for each project. Now, there may be times when that makes more sense with, more advanced classes, but from a beginner standpoint, when you're really trying to learn this and become a better designer, the more sites you build from the ground up, the better you become and the more you learn it. So that's why I like you to do these sites from the beginning. So you're going to design a 5-page site for it. You're going to use the tutorials from this week, the W3 school code. That's how you're going to build it. It's going to look like the one from my video. Now, I want you to build it on your own. You can use the code on W3 schools to kind of get started. And what I'm doing, I used to actually give the example websites. Like, if I'm building a tutorial, or if I'm building a website and a tutorial, I used to give that site to everybody. And then what I ended up with were a bunch of projects that were basically exactly like mine, with the exact same code and layout and everything, and then maybe an image and a heading changed. So I don't do that anymore because I think that kind of defeats the purpose. I want you to build your own. Is it going to look like mine? Probably. There's not a whole lot you're going to be doing with the layout. So I'm not expecting some masterpiece in terms of design. I'm more looking for the technical aspect of meeting all these requirements here. And then we'll get more into design in the next few weeks. But what you want to have here, start with your home page. That's what I do in the tutorials, because once you get your home page done, you use your home page to create all the other pages. That saves you a lot of time and energy. It wouldn't make sense to develop your other pages from scratch. Just use the code from your home page, because for usability, you want the home page and all the other pages to look exactly the same, right? You want your menu to be in the same place on every page. You want the main site title on every page. You want a subtitle. So, things that I look for on this project is if I click on, so let's say I open up the home page and it looks good. It's got a title and everything and a menu and an image. Everything looks good. When I click on one of those links, I don't want to see a significant change in the design. And you'd be surprised how often that happens. Like if I click on the first page of the website, the title goes away and even the menu goes away. That is not what you want to do. You want to keep everything consistent. Keep the menu and the main title on there. So back to the home page, that's index.html. You want to have a title displayed on the screen. You have a photo of some kind that goes with whatever you're choosing, a short paragraph, and then that menu with at least 4 links to the pages that you create. So that's going to be your home page and 4 links. That makes the 5-page website. Okay, and the links on your home page have to take you to the pages that you create. So that's going to be 4 separate HTML pages that you create. Again, just create those pages based on your home page. Once you get your home page working and looking the way you want, then you can create the other pages with that code. You can either do a save as, or you can copy and paste the code. Again, see my tutorial video from this week on that. But keep the design consistent. The same look and feel, same design, menu, title, and the home page. That really helps your visitors with usability of the site. You do want to have basic content on each page for this one, so it does need to be a complete website. You could change the image and the text on each page, and you also have to name your home page index.html. Another problem I'm seeing is that a lot of you are like putting spaces in the names or doing uppercase and lowercase. Make sure everything is named with no spaces and all lowercase. Even like your images folder. The actual name of your project folder doesn't really matter, but the images folder does, and all the other folders inside that if you're going to divide it up like that. But it just makes it difficult for you if you put spaces in there that doesn't work, or you put capital letters. It's just too much to try to keep track of. So all lowercase, no spaces on your file names. And then for the CSS this time, once you start in on that, you'll see it in the W3 schools and in my tutorial where I'm talking about some basic cascading style sheets. That's going to change your font, colors, background. So I'm not going to put a requirement on, you have to change 3 fonts and 3 backgrounds, things like that. Just try to change something in there that I can see, like the title color or a background color or a different font, something like that. And then again, the optional layout here, this is what if you're working ahead and you really want to include this, because I do get I've gotten questions on that in the past. Well, I understand all the basics and I'd like to go a little further. So that is part of the W3 schools, the list that I gave you. And I'm not putting up my own tutorials yet just because I feel like that's too much to go into this week, but that will be coming next week is my plan to get some basic CSS layout tutorials for you. So if you want to include a layout, you can, but that is not required for this project. There'll be plenty of other projects to do that. So, so that is something to consider that is optional. And then just some other things here, make sure that you give me all the files from your site, like all the HTML pages and the images. So you should be saving into one specific folder. So you'd call it like project 2, your name, and you have to create the zip file. So this is the same way as the last project. Make sure you're turning your projects in through this link. You click on project 5-page site, you scroll down and attach it right here where it says browse my computer, and then click submit. Don't send it to me in email. It has to be turned in this way. Email does not go into the gradebook, but this does. So a couple other things here. Let's see. So the zip file, so you're attaching it, and things that I would deduct points for here: incorrectly named pages like the index.html, zip file not attached correctly, missing images, missing your page titles on there, broken links. If I can't read the links in the text, a lot of times students will change the background color to something dark, but then they don't change the color of the links, which actually does get into some CSS that's a little more complicated to change the link color. So then I can't read the links on a dark background. So those are some problems, that you have to be careful of. And then late submissions, obviously. I don't think, I usually don't apply late penalty for the first site project, although it looks like most people have turned that in already. But, everything else would have a late penalty if it's submitted after the deadline. So you want to make sure you submit that. And then, another couple things here. I'll be glad to take a look at your code again. A rough draft, email me the zip file, and then I will check it out. If you email me questions without the zip file, it's really tough to troubleshoot it, obviously. All right, well, that is the new project, 10% of your grade, so it's worth more this time. And then last thing, I know this is getting long again. I apologize. These videos over the last couple weeks, the first few weeks of class are long because there's so much I'm trying to introduce to you with all these topics, but they'll get shorter, I promise. So a new form, it's an article summary. So you'll see it in the discussion board page. So I've mentioned some of these websites before, but what you want to do is visit one of these websites. You can check them all out if you want, read through them, and pick out an article that you find interesting. it can be really anything related to web graphic design, multimedia, video editing, anything related to our field, and write a half-page summary in this forum. So that would be equivalent to about a page of double-spaced 12-point type. Make sure you include the URL to your article. Put that first thing. That does often get left off in this assignment, it seems like. So make sure you put the URL. And then post this by the end of the day, Sunday, September 6th. So that's 1 week on this, but 2 weeks on the project. And do this the same way as the last forum. Just go into the article summary and create a new thread and post it. So I think that'll be fairly interesting, to look at those articles and see what else is out there that you might want to learn about. All right, and that's really it for this week. It's a lot of stuff, I know, but you got extra time to work on that project, and you've got a lot of tutorials posted and a lot of links on W3 Schools, but you got extra time to work on those as well, since that project is not due this week. All right, well, let me know if you have any questions, and I hope you enjoy working on the 5-page site.